Hello everybody, this is SeetherCord here, and welcome to another episode of SeetherTalks. Today's episode will be focusing on the romantic relationships that we build within the furry fandom. However, the type of relationships that we'll be discussing for today's video will be different from what most of us furries would expect from our romantic relationships. And that is the concept of being a furry, but however, dating someone who is not a furry themselves. I got the idea for this video based off of a discussion I had 3 years ago with this fellow furry I had met on this old furry related Skype group, homaging back to the days of me being a part of Skype furries and all. Anyways, our discussion mainly focused on us talking about relationships, and me asking this guy for advice on getting a girlfriend. I was about 18 or so at the time, and he was, I believe, in his late 20s, I think, and he was already married and all. And his overall response to me asking how to get a girlfriend while I'm a furry was something that I've never really heard other furries discuss before. And that was, to reference the title of this episode, is to consider dating someone who isn't a furry as well. He added on to saying that if I did get a partner who wasn't also a furry, to not push on being a furry into the relationship and only really bring it up when it's common to interest to talk about. He also mentioned to me that if I wanted to go to a furry convention and feared of the person who I was dating who wasn't a furry as well to not be okay with it, and also fearing that they would think of it as weird and all, he just told me to just bring up to her and say, hey, me and my friends have this nerdy thing that we want to go out and do together, so I hope that you don't mind and that you understand. The last thing that I could remember him mentioning to me was that if she wasn't willing to be okay with me just simply wanting to be a furry and owning a fursuit, that I shouldn't feel bad about it because being a furry is what I want to do, plus it makes me happy, and there's nothing really morally wrong with doing so. And if the person doesn't want to accept that, then I should just move on from them because it shows that they weren't that good enough for me in the end if they weren't willing to accept that of me. Overall, when it comes to this guy's advice, I would say that I pretty much agree with him on virtually everything and that his ideas and ideologies on the topic was well thought out and pretty spot on. And I wanted to bring up his points on this whole thing because I felt so much better when he first explained this whole thing to me. Because back when I first became a furry and being a straight guy within the fandom, I knew that it would be difficult to find a girlfriend because there aren't as many girls as there are boys within this community, and I always thought up until that point that being a furry is a super sacred emotional thing that I need someone as equal in this experience of sacredness to feel happy with love. But then I realized that my mentality that I had was just something that was not for me at all. And I'm not saying that if you do think that way, then that it's a bad thing. And if they have to be furry so that way you can feel satisfied in a relationship, then that's completely fine. It's your life. Do whatever the hell you want. But for me at least, I felt way more relieved that I now have a bigger window of opportunity when it comes to the people that I can now date that don't have to be furries. I am very grateful in the end that I ended up getting a girlfriend who's smart, kind, funny, and really freaking hot, as well as being a furry, so today's episode's subject can't really apply to me that well anymore. But still, it was nice to develop as a person a bit from that experience in the past when it used to apply to me. You guys really should have seen me back when I first joined this fandom as a single guy. Oh my god, those days were so cringy. Oh boy. And to close this off on an enlightening note as best as I can, I believe that if you are a furry and you end up dating someone who isn't a furry, if they can at least accept you for being a furry, heck, they can even think it's weird or cringy and not like it at all, but are willing to look past that, then I think that shows that they really like you, plus could be a sign of a really long-lasting relationship. Because they think, hey, I like you a lot to the point where I don't care even if I don't like you doing that thing. And that's overall something that I think would be a really, really valuable trait for a partner. And that pretty much wraps up this episode of SeetherTalks today. This was actually a very humble and kind of sweet video in my opinion. I don't know. How do you guys feel about dating in the furry fandom? Do you guys feel like you have to date another furry to feel satisfied? Do you guys feel like you don't have to date another furry to feel satisfied? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you enjoy my content and want to further help out my channel, please consider donating to my Patreon page, my coffee, hitting that like button, turning on that notification bell, and subscribing all together. I have been SeetherCord, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, everyone. There's the piece of meat. We gotta go take it back to the Goron that's starving to death up there. That guy's lucky I'm generous. And also he has a mask or I would let him die up there. I'm such a horrible person for saying that. What the hell? 'Cause it's the power of love. Ooh, power of love. Power of love. Yeah.